Hey y'all, it's Pierre from Game Press, and we are here talking about Patch Notes 2.15. We also have videos on new creatures and quality of life improvements in the game, and this one we are talking about new abilities. So we have some new abilities, a lot of them actually this update, with one specific new mechanic that seems quite interesting. So we're going to go over all of the new moves, what they do, and how we think they're going to end up looking in the meta. So first we have Devour. So Devour is a new mechanic. They're putting it on fierce creatures. So it deals damage just like it would regular strikes, impacts, and rampages. However, at the same time, it heals you with a percentage of that attack over a specific amount of turns. So this is really interesting. They're giving fierce creatures a heal move, essentially. What's also very interesting about this specific move is if your attack damage is reduced by shields or debuffs, so if they have an invincibility shield up and you can't break shields, or they've distracted you, you're not going to heal for as much as you would if you were full, if you weren't distracted or had a debuff. So we are really interested to see what this mechanic's going to end up looking like. The first move that they have is Devouring Wound. So this move removes shields. It attacks 1.5, so it's an impact, bypassing the armor. And then it also inflicts damage over time for 20% of your target's max HP for 2 turns. For yourself, it heals 60% of damage over 4 turns. So essentially, it's 15% of your attack, you heal it over 4 turns. What's interesting about this one is if you're distracted, you're not going to be healing as much. So it does break shields, so shields cannot stop this one. So if you do want to basically not allow your opponent to heal, you're going to want to distract them with this move. It also doesn't have a delay, so it is available on turn 1. Next, we have Skirmish. Skirmish targets all opponents. It removes shield and taunt. It attacks 2 times bypassing armor. Essentially, this is a group DSR, which is pretty good, actually. We haven't had a group DSR move yet, but it's a defense shattering group move, which can work against some of those fierce flocks that we are seeing in the game. Next, we have Crushing Prowl. This is a little bit different than the other Prowls. Prowl usually increases your hit chance. This one cleanses, increases your critical hit chance 75% for 2 attacks, 2 turns. You have a 75% chance to dodge 67% of damage for 2 attacks in 1 turn. And it also has a team aspect, which is kind of cool. It increases the damage of the team for 50% for 2 attacks for 4 turns. And it cleanses reduced damage and critical decrease. So the difference between this one and the other Prowl moves in the game is all the other Prowl moves are a 50% chance of increased critical hit. This one's 75%. And like I said, it has a team aspect to it. So this could actually be super useful in raids. On impact, on escape. So basically, you're preventing your opponent from swapping and you attack with an impact. Pretty simple and straightforward. It doesn't bypass shields, armor, dodge, anything like that. It locks the opponent down for 1 turn. So, just make sure you're keeping an eye on when you're facing the creature who has this, that you have enough health to either survive or you have a shield or dodge that will allow you to get out of there without getting hit. Evasive Heal. Heal 33% for 100% chance to dodge 66% of damage for 2 attacks 1 turn, unable to swap for 2 turns. This is a swap-in move. It heals you 33%, but it also gives you a 66% chance to dodge for 1 turn. But it's 100% of damage. Sorry, that's incorrect. It's 100% chance to dodge 66% of damage. So this is a guaranteed dodge on swap in, which is really nice. It could be super useful to swap in on fierce creatures while you're also healing yourself, allowing you to be able to use another attack. Alert Surge. So this is a secure and threatened, which is what alerts moves are. So when you're secure, it's priority attack. You target the lowest HP attacking one time, but then yourself, you have a 50% chance to dodge 66% of damage for 2 attacks one turn. Threatened, it's a precise one-time attack. So basically, the difference between this one is when you're secure, you're going to get that dodge chance, but it is not a precise attack. When you're threatened, you don't get the dodge, but it is a precise attack move. So we like that it's a little bit different. I mean, I like that it's a little bit different. I think it's kind of cool in that they're not the exact same move, depending on secure and threatened. So there's benefits to both of those. Alert Shattering Impact. So when you are secure, it removes shields and taunts, attacks 1.5 for impact, bypassing armor, but then you also heal for 33%. In the threatened state, you remove shields and taunt, reduce damage for 2 attacks one turn, and you attack 1.5 times, bypassing armor. So it's basically a shield shattering impact that heals in a secure state. In a threatened state, it is a shield shattering impact that distracts but doesn't heal. So once again, it's kind of like that previous one we were just talking about with Alert Surge. They're just different enough that they do some different things, which could be a good thing. Fierce Counter. This is slightly different than Defense Shattering Counter. After receiving and surviving damage, you remove shields and taunt, attack 25%, bypassing armor, and you cleanse vulnerable. Defense Shattering Counter, which is what is in game right now, is a 100% attack, so it's a 1x attack. This one is not. It is Fierce Counter. It is a 0.25 times or 25% attack, but it also cleanses vulnerable. So that's the benefit of having a fierce move as a counter, and makes it a little bit different than a Defense Shattering Counter. Swap in Devour Strike. This one's interesting. So it is another Devour move. It is a swap in Devour move. It is a group swap in move that precisely attacks one time, and then you heal yourself 60% over 4 turns. The trick to this one is it doesn't actually bypass armor or shield. So if you try to, like, for example, swap into something like Ankylos Lux. Ankylos Lux has an invincibility swap out move. If you swap out of Ankylos Lux, it puts up an invincibility barrier. If you were trying to swap in a creature that has swap in Devour Strike, not only will you not hit the Ankylos Lux, you won't actually heal because you are doing 0 damage. And your heal is dependent on what damage you are putting out. So this is really interesting. It does not break shields or armor or anything like that. So you need to make sure you're using this one very cautiously. It could be very beneficial. It still heals you, but beware of shields and especially distractions. Distracting Revenge Blow. Target highest damage. So it's a distracting, reduce damage 50% for 4 attacks for 2 turns, attack 1.5. On the Revenge, it is a 100% damage reduction for 4 attacks, 2 turns, attacking 2 times. So this is pretty much a 100% damage reduction rampage on Revenge, and then it kind of turns into just a distracting impact at the regular move, 50% damage reduction. So we think this is pretty good and could be pretty useful. Instant Ferocious Revenge. This is a priority move. It targets the lowest HP, attacks 1.5 times, and it increases your damage 50% for 2 attacks, 2 turns. There is a delay on the main move. Obviously, if it is Revenge, it is a priority move, attacks 1.5 times. It increases damage 50%, 2 attacks for 2 turns. This is basically an instant impact on Revenge, which is really kind of cool. It also buffs your damage. So we don't know if it's going to buff before the move. So for example, right now, Hostile Glow applies vulnerability and then hits a creature. That's on Ankylos Lux. This one buffs your damage 50%. If it buffs your damage prior to hitting, then it's essentially an impact or a priority rampage on Revenge. Even if the buff is after, you still have a priority impact, and then you get to turn around and do a priority impact once again because it only has a delay of 1. So it's a back-to-back instant impact, but it also buffs your attack. So we think this is actually a pretty good move, and we're pretty excited to see what it's going to look like. Precise Revenge. This is a precise attack 2 times. The difference between Revenge and the regular is, as a Revenge, it is a group move. So it will attack a flock, go through, absorb, and as a regular attack, it's just a regular attack. So this looks like a great flock counter on Revenge, especially because Precise will hit through any dodge that you might have inflicted or that they have pulled up, because they do have a lot of evasive moves. A lot of the flocks do. Defense, Shattering, Alert. So when secure, attack 1 time, bypassing armor and shields. When threatened, you cleanse vulnerable, and then you would basically attack 1 time, bypassing armor and shields, and remove taunt. So when secure, this move is a defense shattering strike. When threatened, it turns into a fierce strike because it also cleanses vulnerability. Doesn't sound like a big difference, but it can be a big difference because cleansing that vulnerability can really help you, especially if you're slower and they just inflicted a vulnerable move on you. Then you're not going to get hit as hard again, especially if the creature does not have vulnerability resistance. Alert, Peck. So when you're secure, target's lowest HP, remove shields, critical increase and attack increase, and then you deal 60% of target's max HP as armor piercing damage. When threatened, it's pretty much the same thing, except it's dealing 40% of target's max HP. Essentially, and if you look at the cooldowns, it's interesting. Threatened does have a delay. Secure does not have a delay. Secure is a rending takedown. It is a turn 1 rending takedown. It doesn't look like it breaks shields, but it's basically able to come in and take out 60% of your opponent's HP on turn 1. When threatened, it's only 40%, and there is also a delay when threatened. So the best time to use this move is when you are at high HP and you are considered secure. But it looks like a pretty nasty move, and we can't wait to see what happens with it. Instant Decelerating Precision. Priority, 50% shields for 4 attacks 1 turn, and then you target the highest speed, reducing their speed for 50% for 3 turns, and precise attack 1 time. So this is really interesting because, once again, they seem to be mixing up. So not only are you getting a shield, but you're also reducing the speed of your opponent and precise attacking your opponent. And that seems to be, there were a couple of moves last patch that did this, where they're kind of mixing up the whole fierce, resilient, and cunning in one move. There's some aspects of all of those in this move. And, you get to precisely hit them, but you also reduce their speed. It is priority attack. It does not look like it has any kind of cooldown or delay on it. So this could be something that could be quite annoying for your opponent if you just keep hitting them with that move. So basically, this is everything. Devour seems really interesting. We can't wait to see what happens with that and what other additional creatures are going to get these 2 moves with the Devouring move and the Swap and Devour strike. That's everything for now. Make sure to check out the Game Press website. We'll have all these articles on there as far as what the moves are, what the new creatures are, all that fun stuff. Make sure to check in next week. Hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the content that they are doing for the new update. I'm sure they have lots of fantastic things planned. And thanks for listening, y'all.